welcome to Reality Hour. I am your co-host, one of them, Adam Samuel. Today we are talking America's Got Talent Judge Cuts Week 3. Going over it all with me today is my co-host Eric. How you doing today, Eric?
I'm doing good. I was less negative about this episode than you were. You had some fun tweets this week. But overall, I wasn't overly enthusiastic about very many acts this week. But the one I was enthusiastic about got the golden buzzer, so that's good at least.
Eric, I watched the show. Literally just finished it about 10 minutes ago. I did see the results ahead of time, and I am of the opinion that of our acts tonight, there are 3 I am okay with, and I would have swapped the other 4 for about 4 of last week's. Is that a fair assessment?
I mean, it's a problem with this format actually, that they split it up in these 4 weeks and have to pick 7 from each night. It's a stupid format. They really should just say everyone performs and then they fill a certain number of slots after everybody performs, like they did in season 9, I think it was.
Eric, of the acts, do you think we got the right results at the end of the day?
No, but we got closer than you think.
All right. Well, I'm interested to hear what your thoughts are on all the acts. We will be going through them all, discussing it all in depth. Before we kind of do, there is one thing you mentioned earlier that I kind of wanted to touch on, the format for this round of episodes. I'm not a fan of it. I really don't like how it's structured, how it's, first of all, being constantly reminded by Howie Mandel that there's only X amount of acts going through because apparently we can't remember. But anyway, I had this idea that I actually went back this past week and was watching old episodes of American Idol. And I was watching, and there's some episodes when they go really quickly. They shove as many. There's some episodes where there are a lot of performances. And while I was watching it, all I could think about was, this could work for America's Got Talent. Why do we need to spend, for this if you want to have this little inner round, why can't you have it so each contestant, make it like it's a live show? I know it's a pre-tape show, but make it pretend as if it's a live show. Give each contestant a 2-minute clip of kind of like an intro, like their whole package. There's 18 acts competing, right?
Yeah.
So however many minutes of that, like just assign it. If you give each contestant 3 minutes, 4 minutes, you still have, I believe, enough time. And I feel like it's more fair. Not only is it more fair, but it makes the show more, it doesn't make it so predictable.
Yeah,
because if you kind of break that time among those contestants and make it actually be even, instead of this montaging garbage where you're just doomed if that's how it is, I feel like you end up with a better show. And what are your thoughts on that?
I agree. Those are my thoughts on that. It's that simple. It literally, I mean, this format's predictable, but so is the audition format. And once we get, that's why I'm so excited for live shows, because then all the editing stops and all the bullshit pretty much stops.
So you're not a fan of the slow-mos? Of the dramatic slow-mos of the hand going to the golden buzzer and them doing the thing?
Insane. It literally, it's so overused at this point. I remember a couple of years ago it wasn't used at all, and now it's like every audition, and it drives me crazy.
I'm just so confused why the show can't be great. I feel like we just kind of settle for mediocre with kind of a lot of these simple decisions and changes that can make the show so much better. You've already got this footage of all the contestants. Why can't you leave it up to us as the viewers? Why do you have to make it so obvious and kind of almost dumbed down at times, where it's kind of, it's like they don't trust, like they don't trust us to be happy with the results. So maybe they're kind of burying some things that happen, or maybe only showing negative parts. But for me, from this episode, I think there's 2 takeaway acts, and I think everyone else is not going to be in this for the long haul.
I'm curious to hear who the other takeaway is for you.
There are 2 takeaways, 2 I think who are really strong. One, if I could go back in time, and I'm going to actually ask this, would I be able to have a new Golden Buzzer act this season? No. That time is come and gone.
Mm-hmm.
Is that true?
It's not fair if you get another one. But I'm curious who it would be.
I'll be honest. Of these two acts that I think are the takeaways from this episode, it's close. Like I could see myself going for either of them. But we will go into we will talk about them all in general. But kind of one last thing before we do is that in addition to this being kind of America's Got Talent podcast, we also do have interest in kind of all the Got Talent appearance shows. And there was some news this week about some other contestants from previous seasons appearing on different variations. Is that right, Eric?
Yeah. Not that I'm going to talk about one of those variations because it's spoilers. But
just talk about the one that matters.
Well, how you put it. You can talk about it if you're so excited about it.
Yeah, one of my favorite act that I vividly remember enjoying, like on a personal note, between these two seasons. We podcasted about him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Leo Shemtov is on Australia's Got Talent, doing pretty hilarious stuff. I love this act. I'm still very bitter that we lost him so early. The Judge Cuts round never sit well with me. I lose my favorites. I don't agree with kind of how it's really run, but I'll be damned if I didn't really enjoy the performance. Did you get to watch it, Eric?
Leo's on Australia's Got Talent? Of course I did.
What did you think?
I still think he's making the mistake of talking. I like him so much better as the one time he didn't talk.
I just love that moment when he did the tissues and he like made it look
yeah,
so serious.
And that was so much better than like the actual talking shtick that he's been doing.
I think he's really funny, Eric. I'll be honest.
He is, but he's funnier when he didn't talk.
All right. Well, anyway, let's get
Let's talk about stuff on our side of the pond now.
At this point, it's kind of all. There is no side of the pond. Kind of everyone is kind of everywhere.
Yep.
Like everyone's just it's all over the place. Anyway, so I guess we should get into the episode itself. One final thing is we have a special guest judge for this episode, Ellie Kemper. I'm sorry, from The Office and Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. Now, I have a bit of a theory because last week we were talking about one contestant who I kept confusing with an actor.
Really?
And I believe there might be some kind of a conspiracy going on here. Do you think so, Eric?
That's a weird callback, but sure, maybe. Why not? I don't care. She was okay. I didn't really watch much of the judges' comments this week. I always focused more on the acts. But I'm curious to hear what they thought about some of these people.
Are you familiar with Ellie Kemper from either The Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt or The Office?
Nope.
No? Nothing? Man, there's one more episode after this, so who's our last guest judge?
I'm going to have trouble watching next week. Oh, God.
Anyway, let's get into these acts. So, first up, we have Greg Morton. I believe he was our first audition of the season. Am I right? I might be wrong.
He was.
So, he is, he's an impressionist. He's it's not so much comedy as much as just saying things that have been said before, famous lines. What do you make of this act, Eric?
I think it was better than his audition. Some of it was at least funny. I mean, the fact that some of the impressions were good, but the Buzz Lightyear one in particular was way off. It was noticeably bad. Most of the other ones were pretty good. I still don't think the act impressionist needs like something to weave all the impressions together, or else it's just really boring to me. I mean, it's just like gimmicky. I mean, like I think for an impressionist to succeed, he needs to actually weave the impressions into a story to actually make it like a stand-up set. This didn't do that. It was just, hey, look at all the impressions I can do.
I think he's just a voice actor. Like,
yeah, exactly.
He's a talented voice actor. Like, what he can do is really impressive, but it's
not
not
a $1 million act
for competing on a reality TV show.
Not a
It's
million.
like it's the only contestant that I could think of that like slightly invokes what he does is a name you're probably not familiar with because it's so long back. Melissa Villaseñor, I think was her name, and she's actually now on SNL. She's one of the bigger breakouts, like more under the radar stars to kind of come out of America's Got Talent. She's a fantastic impressionist, and I think that she was cut, I believe, the first round of lives. Correct me if I'm wrong, Chad, if you remember her appearance. I saw it so long ago. But for me, Greg, this is an act that's cut round one of the live shows. Like,
Absolutely.
There's nowhere to go with it unless he can craft a story. It's just re-saying words that have been said before, but we already have those people who've said them before. We already have Dr. Brown saying "Great Scott," and we already have all those lines. So it's impressive.
Ish. Some of them
but
are impressive.
It's not a got talent. It's a talent, but it's not a
it's not a talent that people would pay to watch in a theater.
Yeah, like I said, he is 100% talented. I will not deny that. I just think for America's Got Talent, this is an act that I probably would have cut here, honestly, because I don't see a path for him going forward. I think this is. I don't even know. What are your thoughts? Any other thoughts on him?
That's about it.
Yes, but anyway, he is one of our acts advancing. So, do you have any advice if he is watching this podcast?
The only advice I can give him is weave the impression into a story and actually make him a little bit more unique. Other than that, you're a goner. If you do the same thing you did this time or the first time, you're not going to make it through. Which you're talented, so it's all about presentation with this act.
Eric, you put out a tweet. I think it was actually replying to me about like it can always be worse, and I just want to say, don't go putting that into the America's Got Talent universe because those are dangerous words.
Okay.
Because moving forward, you never.
Well, next week it's definitely going to be worse.
Can always be worse, but
next week will definitely be worse.
I'm talking like with Greg that I don't see him having a chance. But then again, I scratch my head and think about some of the other acts, kind of who have made it to the live shows, and then I go, maybe he might have a shot.
Nope. Might have a shot making round 2 at best.
All right. Well, let's talk about Carmen Carter from backup singer from Dancing with the Stars. I recall her singing. We never see her face like the background singers on the show, but I remember her voice, and she is a phenomenally talented singer. Here she is performing "Come Together" by the Beatles, one of my favorite Beatles songs, and also I believe a song that we covered on a podcast of being one of the most overdone songs on these shows. Did she stand out to you with this performance?
No.
All right. Tell me why and what your thoughts on her are.
The problem is she's got a nice voice, but she falls into the trap that so many singers on America's Got Talent fall into, which is that they have a nice voice, they have a great voice in some cases, but they're not marketable at all, and therefore Simon does not see dollar signs, and therefore round 2 at best. She's not going to make a finale, no matter how talented she is, because she is talented.
We get this singer once, maybe even sometimes 2 of them a season.
I've seen up to 3 of them in one season.
Every season, it's the same archetype, and some of them are really good, but they never win. Not only do they never win, but they're just a spot they usually take up. That sometimes in the finale, usually in the semifinals, and I just think it's so played out. She's a good singer, but I've seen this before, and I just feel like I'm watching the same shtick over and over. Where I want to like the singer, but the show has kind of made me so cynical to kind of this genre of kind of what singers are.
The problem is, if you're gonna do this type of music, you have to be absolutely spectacular. and she's
I
not.
don't think you can, even if you are spectacular, because
I
her
think
genre
if you
is
are, you can make it to
throwback.
the finals at least.
Because what she is, her style is all about throwback. It's all about kind of,
I know.
and it's
You
good.
if you can be absolutely spectacular, like a better vocalist than anyone else in the season, maybe you have a shot, but she's not. That's the problem.
Have you seen? Has there ever been like a singer in this genre to kind of make it that far? The only one I can think of is Glennis Close, who was
Yeah,
really good.
Glennis Grace last year.
Oh, did I say I said Glenn Close like that. Glennis Grace. I apologize. Yeah. Otherwise, I'm thinking like Emily West, but she wasn't. She was more like she was
Uh,
more theater a little bit ish, right? Kind of more.
I was not an Emily West fan.
Eric, I was a huge Emily West fan, and I still believe she's probably one of the most talented singers
Nope.
to ever be on
Next,
America's Got Talent.
let's talk about an act we can both hopefully agree on now, shall we?
All right. Well, Carmen, are we still talking about Carmen?
No, I'm talking about Gonzo.
All right. Well, before we actually can get to Gonzo, we do have a quick montage of death that we here at Adams at Reality Hour are going to give these acts more time than America's Got Talent gave them. So really quickly, I'm sorry, Nicholas Wallace. He's a magician. He does hypnotism, and my God, I thought the trick was kind of cool. When he did you catch this, Eric?
I didn't see the montage of Doom. Sorry.
Yes, but I did. So he does this trick where he has Terry Crews up on stage with him, and he has Terry think of a famous place, and then Terry opens his eyes and it's drawn out like he drew it in front of him. And I just want to say, really, I thought it was really cool act. Simon thought it was boring. I don't have enough information to kind of fully judge whether or not it was or wasn't, which is like maybe it was a really impressive, like maybe they just like copy and pasted. Like do you remember on American Idol there was like a little mishap that happened where they have a singer on stage singing and then they cut away to a reaction shot and someone's like, "Oh, he's so good," and right behind her in the audience is the singer who is on stage. Like, do you remember that? I think it was Thomas Stringfellow in season 15. There's that moment where maybe this is something that's, I don't know. I don't know. I can only guess. But anyway, we've already given them more time than America's Got Talented. Next up, we have Ray Underwood and Magic. Not surprisingly, a magic act, which I was a little bit expecting it to be. But no, it's a dog act. Less than impressive dog act. But then again, I would never be able to have the amount of patience and talent to kind of teach a dog to do something like this. I would get very frustrated. I'd be like, just do the trick. And then
I would give up.
I would give up. And kudos also to the people who do this with cats. Like we saw them last season. We will talk about that. Anyway, let's move on to Gonzo. Okay. Eric, I did a lot of talking right now, so tell me a little bit about Gonzo.
Honestly, I don't have much to say other than that the act is still just as stupid as it was in the first round. But the producers think we need a filler act, so we got one.
Gonzo is in the style of Yumbo Dump. It's that kind of weird, I don't know what's going on kind of performance. Mm-hmm. And it's also, the show loves having, I almost feel bad, like they take these people who probably don't fully understand like what the whole shtick is going on. And
Gonzo does. Gonzo was on Britain's Got Talent.
How did he do on Britain's Got Talent?
He didn't make it this far on Britain's Got Talent.
Well, the thing is, when I see an act like this, I get a little bit of hope inside of me that maybe one day I could make it on the show. Because this is a talent that, with a bit of effort, could anyone do?
Honestly, kind of fast forwarded through it, but
well, it's a tambourine act, and he shakes it to Holding Out for a Hero by Bonnie Tyler. Is that who it is?
It might be.
All right. Well, anyway,
all I know that song, and Here's my embarrassing trivia fact of it. I know that song because of Shrek 2.
Me too. Which I still believe that
Damn it.
Shrek 2 is probably one of those rare exceptions where the sequel is actually better than the first one.
100% is better than the first one. No.
It's one of those rare times when it happens. But anyway, for Gonzo, the one thing that like drives me a little nuts is just how like loud the audience was cheering for him. Like,
you know, some of that's piped in, right?
Yeah, but come on. Stop feeding us the pig slop. That's what the producers are doing. They're like, here, they're clapping. You should be clapping. Shut up and clap.
Oh my god.
Anyway, yeah, he is one of the acts to make it through, and like I said, the more acts like this that make it through, the more I think Greg Morton has a shot.
Okay.
All right, but you know, this is the shtick every year. This is just how it is. Revolution is up next. They are a dance act from Argentina. They're basically a glorified montage. Would you agree, Eric?
Yes, but I think they were actually the only act of the episode that I genuinely feel was robbed.
Robbed?
Yeah.
Tell me why.
Well, if you compare them to the act that we just talked about, this is a million times better. And it's better than most of the acts that made it through. This is a show. This is a real show. They are... I remember their first audition. They were super in sync. They are really impressive, and I'm a little bit mad that they're gone.
Yeah.
You're not, but...
I mean, I've seen so many of these kind of acts that they kind of blur together at some point. So they're good. They're definitely like a talented act. I don't remember their audition, but...
If we're basing it on talent, they should have made it through. They're one of the 7 best of the night.
I would put them top 4.
Yeah, me
honestly.
Too.
They're very talented, but honestly, that might just be a bit of a testament to the talent of the night, a little bit. But
the lack of talent of the night.
The talent or lack thereof. Yeah, I will say definitely deserve to advance. Yeah, I would say robbed.
Okay.
Let's talk about, I'm going to absolutely brutal this name, but I'm going to brutalize the sword. Marcin Patrzelik. Did I get that right?
Maybe.
All right. Well, he is a guitar player, a very, very good guitar player at that. What are your thoughts on this dude?
Still like Alejandro minus the singing, and I still love this act. Really quite great. Probably not a winning act, but maybe round 2 of live shows.
I thoroughly enjoyed this act.
Yeah, I did too.
Say, in my opinion, top 2 of the night. Yeah. Easily top 2 of the night. And
for me, actually, I'm thinking about it. Yeah, probably top 3 of the night for me, but definitely.
Top 2 for me. I would put it top 2. Him and the other act that it's a little clearer by now, but those 2, I believe, are our takeaways from this episode. They are the only ones who I think have a shot. I feel like
the other one.
The one knock is that he doesn't sing, and
well.
Yes, he is very similar to Alejandro from American Idol. I will say
better. I like him better because he.
Like I said, 2 acts this episode that really held my attention: Marcin and Light Balance. We'll talk about it a little later, but this it's incredible. Like his fingers just what he does, and
I'd be in so much pain.
You see so much pain?
I would be in so much pain if I was doing that.
I actually learned how to play guitar when I was like.
I did too. I never got even like 100th as good as that.
I was terrible, and
me too.
Well, when you start, it really hurts your fingers.
Yes.
Like underratedly, you don't even realize how much it hurts. But piano is much easier, is all I can really say. But for Marcin, I will be disappointed if he goes out early because I really.
We'll go out round 1, maybe round 2.
I would like it. I think he's a bottom finale finisher. I hope.
I wouldn't rule it out. I'll put it that way.
All right, well, for me, he is an A. I would give this an A.
Wow.
What about you?
I'd give it an A minus, B plus.
Nah, it's
A minus, that's what I say. Mostly because as good as it is, I couldn't see myself watching this for an hour, but it is really good.
I mean, there are shows that don't have singers that are just music. The thing is, I will say it is kind of. I am worried that they might like compare it to a street performance. Like it is very something you might see on the street.
No, it's much better.
I can imagine Simon saying like it's not big enough for a big stage.
Oh, that would be bullshit.
Yes,
Ed Sheeran plays big stages. This is big enough.
Yeah, but Ed Sheeran also sings, which is the thing.
Yes, but he actually doesn't have a band with him.
All right. Well, let's talk about next up Jacob Norton really quickly. The montage of death. He was apparently on The Voice UK a year ago. We get a really quick performance of him doing Crazy Little Thing Called Love by Queen. This for me looks like a bust. Did you get to watch this performance, Eric?
It was a montage of death. They didn't upload it to YouTube. I've not seen it. Sorry.
All right. Well, he kind of like doesn't. It just looks a little. He looks uncomfortable with it. I think this is the song kind of did him in. Like he got this far, so he's got to have talent, hopefully.
Don't say that. The guy who did the tequila thing got this far too.
He had talent.
No, he didn't.
He had talent. If I was on,
he had one joke, and God damn it, he's gonna do it on TV.
That could have been me. That could have been my claim.
That could have been anybody.
You're wrong, Eric. I disagree. But anyway, Jacob Norton, there's not much really to say. Let's talk about the next act.
Yeah.
Really quickly, still in the same montage, Patrizio Rado. I remember watching this dude.
Wasn't he one who did the piano suddenly?
Yes.
No, he started at the piano dancing.
What?
He started at the piano and then he danced, right?
Yes. And
I liked his audition.
This performance was. I thought it was. We only saw really short snippets of it. What I saw was really good, though. Like.
I'm sure it was. I loved his.
Like I would have justified putting him through good. Like, but we get the montage and some criticism, and that's all she wrote.
Okay.
Next up, Ansley Burns. Young. She's like a 10, 12-year-old singer.
12.
She is performing Carrie Underwood's Good Girl. This is we have seen this archetype in the past. Maybe it's not just an archetype. Maybe just we've seen every single singer, like kind of all the brackets of existence. That of course is going to be some retreads. What did you think about Ansley?
So I don't like watching children suffer. That's all I'm going to say. It's not fun. It's not fun to watch children suffer. She's got a great voice. It's not fair to her to stop her halfway through her first audition and this audition, and then cut her. That's not nice. That's all I'm saying.
Simon wants those tears. He wants that moment.
It's messed up. It's really messed up.
Well, yes. So, like I said,
it's my least favorite part of watching these shows is watching children suffer.
She's performing "Good Girl" by Carrie Underwood, and she's a young girl. Like this song kind of swallows her at times. Like Eric said, Simon has her perform a cappella, and it's better. What would you have done for the results for this act? Where would you have fallen?
I think I would have put her through personally, because it's tough. I don't know.
I see an argument for it. I feel like if we were the judges, you could maybe sway me into it, but.
Based on the talent we had in this episode, she was one of the top 7 best.
It says a lot for the talent tonight, Eric.
Yes, it does.
All right, well, I would be on the fence. I feel like I can maybe be swayed, depending on how, taking a look at all the other acts. But, yeah, this is just, I feel like for better or worse, it's good that she was cut here because she doesn't have to put up with a live show performance. Kind of, if I'm grateful that we don't have to watch Simon torture this poor girl anymore.
Yes, me too.
Next, let's talk about Light Balance Kids, an act that I really should have given my golden buzzer to during the auditions. They are the group from Ukraine. Are they the kids of the previous Light Balance, or?
Fun story. I was watching this with my mom, and she asked the exact same stupid question.
Is that a yes?
That's a no. No, they're choreographed by the people who did Light Balance.
Yes, which I will say, like, they are very talented dancers, but I do feel like some credit does have to go to, like, kids don't have unless they're super geniuses, which is at this point maybe possible, but I don't think kids have that knowledge to put together an act like this. They could dance.
They definitely have something to do with it. You're right. Some of it goes to the choreographers and stuff, and the programmers and things. But having said that, easily the best Golden Buzzer act so far this year. Easily.
Did the original Golden Buzzers? Did the Light Balance OGs get the Golden Buzzer?
Yeah.
Were they during the lives or?
No, they were Tyra's Golden Buzzer.
Were they Tyra Banks's?
Yeah.
I remember they performed and there was a moment where they had like technical difficulties or something.
That was in one of the live shows.
All right. Well, anyway, for these kids, they are definitely the best dance acts of the season. Like it's not even fair.
It's not. And they're also the best Golden Buzzer act of the season for me. I mean, so what? I don't even care if they're ringers that Light Balance was on the show 2 years ago. None of that matters to me when they're this good. I could watch this for an hour. This is the type of thing I could watch for an hour. Super creative, super cool, not easy to pull off. Like as Julian said during first edition, if they're in the wrong spot when the lights go on, we know. And it's actually more noticeable than it would be for like another type of dance act. This is the type of act I'd love to see go really far, if not win.
The thing is, for me, like you just mentioned this, but you said you could watch this for an hour. This is kind of a performance that it's like a song, like a rare song that I'll find and listen to, where it gets you amped up. It's like an adrenaline song, and you're like, it makes you want to run. It's like a really pumped up song. Could this go for an hour? That's what I was wondering. Could this be an hour-long show? Because those songs, like, and those kind of big moments, they're good, but I don't know if it could last. This is just me being nitpicking, by the way, I will say. But do you think that might be a problem, like, moving forward, or do you need?
It depends, honestly. I mean, well, I think first of all, the show wouldn't be just them. They'd probably team up with a regular Light Balance for the show. Is what I would assume.
Okay. Well, that said, I will say this act is head and shoulders above not just all the acts except like maybe Marcian, but above most of the other acts from this season.
They're in my top 5 this season easily.
They are up there, I believe, with Cody Lee, not for win equity, but in terms of talent alone, I think they're up there. And I know it's early, but I don't see a finale without them, honestly.
Never do I.
Very, very good. Like, just, it's like I said, it's like an adrenaline charge. Like, you watch it and you're like, how is this possible? And I feel like because of that, it kind of is a knock against all other dance acts. Like, nothing can live up. They're not just dancers. Well, unfairly, because they maybe also have the input of the choreographers, but there is no way a dance act could really compete with that.
You're right.
Like, it's just so above that I feel like everyone else is maybe competing for second in the dance category.
Yep.
All right, well, I really enjoy them. I am looking forward to seeing them in the next act. Like you mentioned, they are the golden buzzer act of the episode. I agree. Very well earned. Looking forward to seeing more of them.
Okay. Now let's go back to the negatives, shall we?
Let's talk about... I don't know. Did you get to watch the they weren't montage, but they were... did you get to watch the drag queens act?
I did not.
All right, well, I want to talk about them because they were pretty hilarious. They were called Stephanie's child, which I found so hilarious. Like, I audibly, like, I think I laughed at that more than I did from just some of the other comedians, just because it's such a perfect name. So they are, they're not just, usually, I don't really watch a lot of these shows, but usually I believe that when these drag queens kind of perform, it's usually lip synced.
Yes.
So what these guys actually do is they sing. And Simon knocked them in their audition for kind of not having super strong vocals. And in this part, Simon's like, well, you should maybe have someone else sing. And he was kind of a little bit like hinting at you should maybe be lip syncing. And they actually they snap back at him. And they say like, well, in previous seasons you wouldn't want like a lip syncer. You would want them to be like kind of poking at Simon's hypocrisy a little bit, which I'm always a fan of.
In this case, I'm a fan of that.
I just want to say I thoroughly enjoyed this act. They do it's not amazing, but they're more than just the singing. It's more than just that. It's the personality of the act, and it comes through. And I would have put them through, honestly.
I didn't see him, so I can't say yes or no. But the name alone kind of makes me lean towards yes.
Isn't it perfect?
It's pretty damn great.
All right. Well, let's. From that point, we're up here. Now we got to go take a bit of a dive. Nick and Lindsay, who I don't even know what the hell this act is. He sings. She does dangerous things to him that, if it wasn't on a stage, would be very bad. Can you tell me a little bit about this act, Eric?
Well, first I want to say it is on a stage and it's still very bad. This is such a gimmicky act. Basically, she's doing a danger act while he's singing opera. I don't get how they made it through this round, but I know they won't make it through the next one.
You know, you can't say that about everyone. Someone's got to make it through.
Yeah, but this is clearly the worst act that made it. No, second worst act that made it through of the night.
All right. Well, this was painful to watch. Like, he literally just sings, and she hits him with things.
And he keeps singing.
And he sings the music of the night from.
That song. David Cook did an amazing cover of that song on American Idol.
All right. Well, for this performance, I'm just like, I get that you might have this talent, but why? Like, why do you need to share it?
I think I said before, it's like peanut butter and nails. That still applies. That's what it is. It's like eating a peanut butter and nail sandwich.
Sounds crunchy. I don't know. Let's talk about Andre and Alexander. Montage of Doom. I think the montage just claimed like 6 victims this episode, which is, I think, more than usual.
No, it's not. The Montage of Doom claims exactly as many people as there were in the Montage of Doom.
Yeah, so we get them really quickly. They do a lot of their acrobatics. I don't even think we saw their audition. Did we?
I don't remember.
Montage of Doom. Double montage, I think. That's the worst. It's like that's the worst hand America's Got Talent can hand you.
No, they're worse hands.
Yep, they could make fun of you.
Yep.
We have duo Mainton.
Yeah, I remember this act a little bit.
So really quickly, it's acrobatics kind of a little bit, but it's more sensual, I guess is the word. And yeah, they do their thing, and
they don't make it through.
Maybe if we saw more, these acts though, they never make it through. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about Edson and Leon. They are 84-year-old and 54-year-old hand balancing. Is that
sure.
Acrobatics?
I mean, this act is impressive because of how old they are. But honestly, I wouldn't pay to see this act and neither would you, and neither would anyone watching this.
I mean, it's really impressive, but
Tell me I'm wrong.
It's an impressive thing that you might.
Oh, it's super
see
impressive.
in a backdoor barbecue, like someone's they're like, hey, look what I can do, and then they do it, and then you go have dessert. It's not a full show. I do admire the up kind of thing, but I'm of the opinion, being the cynic that I am, that was handed to them by the producers.
My thing is, the movie Up is just so perfect that you can't really do that to it.
All right, well, they're definitely talented. That 84-year-old is really, really, really good. The thing is, have there ever been kind of these older contestants who ever really make it far? And I'm gonna say on America's Got Talent, not on Britain's Got Talent.
There's been one.
Two.
A couple years ago, was it 2 years ago or last year? There's an old lady and an old man dancing, and they got the old lady dancing with a man, and they got the golden buzzer.
On America's Got Talent?
Yeah.
That was
and also Britain's Got Talent.
Weird...
There was a different old lady on Britain's Got Talent.
Huh. The one I'm gonna be hypocritical a little bit, but on Britain's Got Talent, the one older act that I really remember, aside from the one who just won, there was like a 90-year-old breakdancer. Did you remember that guy?
No.
I think he actually passed away, but he was really impressive. He was like doing moves. Anyway, tangent. But let's move on, shall we?
Let's.
Rats. It's rats. Let's talk about rats. So we have Melissa, and Melissa likes to train rats. Eric, are you a fan of rats?
Well, I'm not a fan of mice, I can tell you that much. I was in my office. There was a mouse in my office a couple months ago. I have probably...
A pet mouse.
No, it was not a pet mouse. It was like a wild mouse running through my office. I have never... I didn't know I could squeal as loud as I squealed. I didn't know it was possible for that noise to come out of me, but it did. So no, I'm not a fan of rats or mice. But having said that, she had really had to push this rat to keep going, but it did. And the sets were clever. It took too long as a problem.
I enjoyed this act.
I enjoyed it too.
I mean,
because the sets were so clever and the rat actually did it, but you couldn't make this work on live shows because the rat barely did it.
I mean, growing up, I lived in a house that was very big on animals. So I had like hamsters, I had a turtle, like we were very big on animals. And I love rats don't bother me. Like I enjoy kind of the cuteness factor that many people kind of don't really agree with. But it's an impressive thing. Like, can you imagine, like, of all the acts, if they were to sit me down in a room and say, like, all right, Adam, you have to reproduce one of these acts that's appeared on America's Got Talent, rat training would be probably at, like,
one of the hardest.
And the tequila thing would be number one.
Absolutely.
But I can't say, like, she is a 100% talented person. Yes. To have the patience and the commitment to look at a rat and go, I'm going to teach you how to raise a flag. And the poor rat's like, what? But the thing is, here's another thing I was kind of thinking about. Eric, we've seen quite a few seasons of America's Got Talent. I've seen a lot of seasons. You've seen a lot of seasons. We've seen dog acts. We've seen cat acts. We even saw a chicken act. And now we saw kind of a new branch. I don't think we've ever seen a rat act before. What's next? Where are we going to next? Are we going to have a turtle?
We're going to have a dancing fleas from A Bug's Life.
I don't think I saw A Bug's Life.
Okay, well, I still need to see Ratatouille, which is terrible. I need to see it. I know I need to see it. I love Patton Oswalt.
You got a mouse that cooks.
That's the worst part. I love Patton Oswalt, and I still need to sit down and see that movie. It'll happen.
All right, well, Melissa, undeniably talented. Do you remember when we had that chicken, though? And
that was stupid.
That was stupid. It played God Bless America, I think.
It played something.
It played something. Let's move on to our final act, who is just Mackenzie. He is a singer. Did we see his audition? I don't really remember his audition, but can you tell me a little bit about him?
He's a big voice singer, but he's a little bit more marketable, you could say, than some of the other ones. For me, his problem was I vaguely remember that this is a problem in his first audition too. Parts of his performances, both of them, have been pitchy and a little bit off. Overall, this was better than the last one, I think. And if he can keep improving, he has a shot at making the finale. Because he has potential. But my thing was, parts of it, one note he had in particular was really like shaky. So
I love this song that he did. It was
I
Faithfully the Journey.
I love the song too.
I absolutely love it. He's got a really emotional story, and as you said, very talented singer. He's in a tough bracket with Cody Lee, though. I will say, like, he is. I don't know how he's going to come out on top. I think he's
Not,
at this point fighting for bottom finale at best.
yes, agreed.
And I think,
And that's if he doesn't have any more pitchy moments.
yeah, I think that is something he needs to work on and be worried about, because this is Simon Cowell, and Simon will call a singer out for something like this. But for what he did tonight, I think he is undeniably talented, definitely deserves a spot to move through. I don't think he's a winning act.
Nope.
Because I don't know how marketable he fully is, just because,
Well, yeah.
you know how it is. But for this episode, 100% deserve to move on.
Yes, agreed.
So, we get on to the results. So moving on, we have Light Balance Kids, Greg Morton, Marcin Petruzelic, Mackenzie, Carmen Carter, Nick and Lindsay, and Gonzo. Eric, if you could make any edits to this list, what would be your few changes?
I think we should make it simpler for us. We only want to switch one act. Because we could go on all night. But I'm going to toss Gonzo.
To only do one?
What?
That's hard to only pick
Fine,
one.
two. Okay, I'm going to switch two. I'm going to switch Greg.
Actually, one makes it more fun.
Okay. Gonzo's gone. Gonzo is Gonzo. And
it's like the Muppet.
Gonzo is gone. So Gonzo is gone. So I will replace Gonzo with Revolution.
Okay, this is hard because there are two acts that I would really want to switch in. I would actually keep Gonzo just for the lulz of, you know, I don't know.
Bye, viewers. Bye, whoever was still watching us.
I would swap out Nick and Lindsay, and this is tough, but if I really have to choose between two acts, I know who deserves to go through, but there's also an act that I want to go through. And since this is Reality Hour and not America's Got Talent, and I get a say, I'm going to go with Stephanie's Child.
I figured.
Just because I enjoy the hell out of this act. I love these personalities. They're really entertaining.
Okay.
So that is our coverage. Those are our contestants. Who for you do you feel is our takeaway here? Who is going to go the furthest of what we?
Light Balance Kids. Done.
Light Balance Kids and Marcin. I think
those
are.
Light Balance Kids is an elite. Light Balance Kids and Marcin.
Eric, we talk a bit about having like our finale. Who do you feel right now is in the running for the win in general?
Right now, I'd say Cody Lee is a clear, obvious favorite. I really hope my golden brother can pull an upset. It's not going to happen for me, but I'd love it to happen.
All right. Well, anyway, I guess that is our episode for Adam's TV Podcast. Any final thoughts? Any things in general you want to touch on for this show?
Not particularly. But let us know what you think of the new intro, the new graphics, the new titles, all that stuff. I put a little bit of time into that this week. Yeah, that's about it for me.
All right. Well, I want to say that I'm Adam Samuel. You can find me on Twitter at AdamSoapbox. Run my two websites, adamsoapbox.com and adamcvblog.com. Haven't had an update for Adam Soapbox for a couple of months now. There's unfortunately not going to be another update for at least a few more months. I'm not done with the blog. I still fully intend to keep posting to it. There is a project I've been working on for about a year that has kind of had my attention. So hopefully, I hope to be finishing it in the next couple of months in an ideal world. And then once I'm done with that, we will be back to blog posts. Where can we find you, Eric?
EricAscher.com, Eric_Ascher on Twitter, EricAscher01 on YouTube.
All right, guys. We will be back for our final Judge Cuts next week.
I'm gonna find a Team Coco shirt to wear or something. I'll figure it out.
What is the Team Coco joke?
It's not a joke. It's literally it. Fuck Jay Leno. That's the line.
I don't get it. What is Coco?
Google it.
I'm afraid to. All right, guys. This was fun.
I'm gonna edit that silence out.
I'm not going to make Eric rat out the joke. Get it? Because rats. Goodbye, guys. Peace.